Well, now let's go to another build along. This one is with Bill Davis building Richard Rand's model of the Waltz Duncan Bay Window House in Animas Forks, Colorado. This is available in both HO and O scale, and Richard's given a 15% discount on it. So Bill, welcome.
Well, okay, it's also available in S.
Ah, it's an S too.
Yep. Matter of fact, Richard built the S scale model and put it on his layout, which is also an O scale layout, but it is 8.5 feet in the air. So it's working great for okay. It's really great for planned what do we call that? I'm drawing a blank word I'm looking for. Perspective, forced perspective. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's hit share screen. Okay, so it wasn't my intention that this worked out this way, but it did. Anyway, this is a picture of the town, and down in this little corner right over here is the house. And so you can see it was quite a mining community that was up there at this 11,150 feet elevation. And the Silverton Northern Railroad, which ran from Silverton to Animas Fork, was like it's only about 14, 15 miles, but it's a brutal trip. Ran up to this little town. So before we get started into actual building this kit, I want to talk a little bit about laser cutting and that kind of stuff. Richard is really careful in how he does his laser cutting. Now, this is a picture of his computer, and apparently this is he laid out all this stuff here to do the cutting, and then here's his laser cutting on a sheet of wood. I've built kits from a lot of different laser cutters. Most of them are pretty cool, but occasionally there's guys that are so busy trying to use as much of the wood as possible, they haven't taken consideration grain and things like this. So when you go to weather it, and you've got your wood going horizontal across the sheet, but the grain's going vertical. And so when you're trying to wire brush in the grain, it looks really funky. But Richard is really, really careful about how he does that kind of stuff. Richard is very much attitude of in making the hobby better. So anyway, that's so any of those who don't know what a 3D a laser looks like, that's what one looks like. And this is just I have no clue. I can't CAD draw. I have no clue what all this stuff is, but apparently it becomes a model. Now, I want to talk a little bit about surfaces, not expecting to have you other guys talk about surfaces, so I won't spend a lot of time on this. But this is something that I buy about every 5-6 years because by then my board has no longer got grain on it, no lines on it anymore. It's been spilled so many times and wiped up. It's just a wreck. But this is really cool because you've got all these little squares that are like an inch square. And so you've got really good for laying out patterns and laying out what you want done and you can cut, and of course it's self-healing. And you've got your angles and everything else. And this is toe-sided. So, you know, over the years, you just use one side for a while and then flip it to the other side. Pick this up at Michael's, costs like $15, $16. Michael's always got coupons, so we're 25 to 40% off. Same thing with Hobby Lobby. So you can get it down for a pretty reasonable price. In that. Now, the other thing that I have is during the 60s and 70s, my mother took up painting as an art hobby. And so I inherited her paint set, which was unfortunately pretty much useless. The paints had pretty much dried out and stuff like this. However, this lovely little piece of acrylic is how big is the thing here? Is a 12 by, I don't see, wait a minute, is a 1/4 inch thick, and it's 12, yes, 12 by 16. And, you know, guys use glass, guys use plywood, guys use all kinds of different things. This is my flat surface. This thing is dead flat. What's nice about it is glue sticks to it, but you can just take a razor blade and just knock it back off again for the most part. Super glue is a little harder. but most of the other glues will come right off. It's just a really nice piece for working on the surface. And my poor workbench is 10 years old and I have beaten it to death. So I don't think there's a flat spot on it. So this thing helps out a whole lot to find a flat spot. The other thing I made, and I made this probably 20 something years ago, is what I call a square setter. And this is a 1/4-inch piece of, this is a 3/16 piece of 8.5 by 11 plastruck type plastic. And then these are 1/4-inch square plastruck, what is the word I'm looking for? Like tubing, but it's this square. And so I let it out with a 90-degree angle on here. So I can set something in the corner here, measure out, and know I'm getting a square cut no matter how I cut it. But all these pieces I'm telling you about has another purpose as well. So when I'm doing a model like this one, I have what I call the sandwich. I will take the wooden pieces for the walls. Like on this building here, the side walls are 5.5 inches tall by 7.5 inches long. That's really big. And so what I do is I stain it front and rear. I make my own stains, and much like Jess was saying, I just keep adding to it, and so it's never the same color over the years. And then I put the piece on the white material here, lay this on top of it. And last week somebody mentioned a brick. And so, yeah, I know. And so I have a brick. There's a quarry and a brick plant that I've been researching for the last 10 years now. That's about 20 miles from my house. And so that's one of the bricks from the brick plant that has been abandoned for, gosh, forever. Anyway, and I leave it like that for a day or two, whatever it takes to get most of it to dry and stuff. And most of the times it'll come out pretty flat. There might be a little bit of warpage, but it'll come out pretty flat, except for this kit. So the next thing I did after I got the pieces stained, and I also dry brushed a green color on it with a Delta Cream, pale green. I did the windows with apple barrel white and stuff. But the interior of the building and all the doors, Richard had this nice layout in the doors here. And it's basically just laser cut these details here. But I kind of felt like, painting that to make it look good just didn't make me feel comfortable. So using part of the carrier sheet, I cut strips and I did all this raised part as raised edging and detail. And then I painted it a brown color, put a little escutcheon pin for a doorknob. And I think it looks a lot better like this as a door than this looks like as a door, although there's really nothing wrong with that. And in the kit, it suggested to paint the panels one color and the molding around the panels another color, but I didn't try to do that. So the next thing was the interior walls. This is what the interior walls look like in the kit. And you notice it's vertical detail, which is good with the grain, but I kind of felt it needed some personality. So I painted it kind of a warm buff color, and then I used 1x4 strip wood, and I did casing around the doors and base molding around the bottom of the doors. And right here, another wall goes into this section here. So that's not a mistake or anything like this. And then I glued the door in place. And I think that looks a lot better than just simply having this kind of a door on this kind of a wall. So now we got to the stairs. Now, I'm not sure what the silver part of that stair is. I don't think it's metal because, I mean, look how badly beaten up it is. I'm thinking it must be some kind of paint or something like this on a thing. So anyway, I decided I would do the same thing with my stairs. I would do the faces in this silver gray color. And then for the flooring, I had a kind of a redwood color stain that I liked. So I did the flooring and the stairs with that. So Richard gives you this nice, these are all the stair treads and the faces. This is a laser cut stair horse. And this is a great little thing. It's a jig. And you simply set these stair horse pieces in. Make sure you get the right direction because they're not equal on both sides. So you want to make sure they get the both ends be the same on this end here. Set them in this groove and start laying your stairs. And once you get all done, let it dry, you peel it out there and you've got a really beautiful little staircase. So this is the finished first floor. Now, this is supposed to have been a door, but I chose to make it just an opening. I enlarged the opening slightly because the main door coming in the building is right here. So you would come in the main door of the building and either go up the stairs or go into what was the living room. And this is the bay window of the building. So this is one view of it. This is another view of it. And like I said, I like that reddish colored floor. It's pretty bold, but I just kind of like the feel of it. And so that's why I did it that way. So now the dry pressing, the wall process and the dry pressing process, as I said, I did the staining and kept it in what I call the sandwich and let it dry for a couple days. And hard being patient. I keep on getting my hair dryer out there and force it to dry quicker. But when I do that, I would just do one of these numbers, just curl up. So okay, just be patient, And then on the inside, once again, I felt that the windows needed molding around it. So I did 1x4 molding. And then this strip here is the support for the second floor. And in the back, this is the back wall of the building. This was supposed to be a window right here. So this was supposed to be a window right here, but I thought it was better as a door. So I cut it as a door. And this was an inside door that went into the shed that we'll talk about in a little bit. But so I just cut the bottom of the window out and just spread it down to make it into a door opening. This is kind of an ivory color for the walls here on this section here. And I basically dry brushed this, so I didn't want it to be extremely weathered, but I didn't want it to look like it was brand new. I mean, this building could be anywhere in the country, but I'm picturing it up in the Colorado Rockies. Winter is brutal. Paint doesn't have a chance. So the paint would eventually start to wear down like this. And so I kind of wanted that thing. So I just dry brushed this kind of pale green color that I got from Delta Cream. And I just did it several layers. I did it a little bit, maybe a little bit more in here, than up in here and stuff. And I just wanted to make it look like it needs painting, but it hasn't been abused. So it came time to assemble this thing. And as you can see that these walls, as big as they were, and as nice as the sandwich works, they were still twisted. Now, being the fact that Richard does the grain the way he does it, it twisted like this, as opposed to twisting like this. Because if it had twisted like this, so the wall would be bowed this way, it'd almost be impossible to get the bow out. But in this way, it was easy to pull the bow out. So I glued the floor inside there and glued the sides up there. And of course, you'll get another picture here. You can see that there's quite a bow here. And there's bowing in two different directions. And I had also, by this time, I had added all the windows and doors to the walls and stuff. So, and they're just standard laser cut windows and doors. A lot of nice little details. So what I did to fix this problem was I glued the back wall in place, let it dry really good. Then I got these bar clamps. I've had these couple bar clamps for years. I wish I had more. They're about 12 inches long and about a quarter-inch square, and they work out great for squeezing it all together and holding it all together. And I let that dry really good, and no more work. So then I added all the molding, and then you can see that the work is all gone now. And so I added the edge moldings here and across the top, and over this edge here and then the bottom and stuff. And I added all the molding. I added window shades inside the building and stuff. And so I had it pretty much the way I wanted it. I discovered that to make the second floor removal, I had to make some modification in that, but we'll get to that next week. Anyway, that's kind of where I wanted to get to that point. So then there's a shed. Now this shed consisted of 4 really nicely done laser cut pieces. And the stain on here is a brown paint stain that I brew up, and it just looks like that. And I really like the way it looked. So this one shows the right side with the door in it, and this view shows the left side with the without the door. And so, but for the door, this is all wood, and this has all been, you can see it's been wire brushed. This is all wood, but the door itself was laser board. Now, laser board's great stuff, and you can make it look really good as this part here. But I thought, you know what? Why don't I just scratch build the door? So that's what I did. This was just some laser hinges. I probably should add some nut bolt washers to that, and a little handle, and the shed is built. So at this point here, this is where we're at. We assembled the basic roof last time. We have these nice areas up in the roof here for when we're going to be laying out the shingles. Here's a couple other views of it so far on the base and the foundation. And so next week we will get into building the bay window area and some of the other details.